I mean, honestly, looking back and on July and you first question, you're like, how much do you want to make a month? And I was like, I don't know, like $10,000. Like that just, I was very meek about it. I was very, there's no way that that's going to happen. Um, but it's happened in less than a year. And I just like, I don't know, I'm hungry for more.
Hello, Brian Wee here, and in this video I'm going to be interviewing one of my clients who was able to build a profitable horse business. If you like content like this, be sure to hit subscribe, and also in the comments let me know what sort of content you'd like to see in the future, and we'll read that and make more videos like that in the future. So again, thank you for tuning in, and if you are interested in hearing more about best practices for both building profitable horseback riding businesses as well as how to be smart with your money, then be sure to hit subscribe and keep tuning in. All right, thank you so much. Okay, great. I think we're live. Hillary, thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to do a client success interview.
No problem.
So the way these things work is I like to talk a little bit about the transformation that Hillary made and where she started, where she is today, and then where the decisions that you made in each point of your business, and kind of hopefully learn from your experience what worked well, what didn't work well, what do you want to reflect on. So Hillary, can you just start with talking about maybe go back to July of 2021 and what you were doing at that point, and then we'll talk about where you're at today, and then we'll kind of fill in the details of what decisions you made.
Sure. So I was, well, okay, so almost a year ago, I was working at a desk job, 9 to 5, riding on the side, teaching on the side. I think I had, I don't know, maybe 10 students or something like that, kind of infrequent, kind of random days. And I just was looking for, I don't know, I just wasn't happy with my desk job. I knew I wanted to teach full time. But I don't know, I didn't have like, I didn't know where to start or, if I didn't have the confidence, I guess, to leave the full-time job and to do it on my own. So it's kind of where it started.
Awesome. And then what does it look like today? What is your kind of career look like today?
Yeah. So for today, I have about 45 students. I work 4 days a week, probably a total of, I don't know, maybe 20 hours teaching. And yeah, I quit the job in the full-time desk job in November. And now I'm just doing this and I'm having a blast and I'm having a good time. I've got a bunch of great, awesome students. And we're starting our first horse show testing event in next month.
Awesome. So I think you made really good decisions all along the way. And as you know, the sequence of decisions that I think you should look through are, where you set up from a facility standpoint, what services you decide to offer, how you market those services, how you sell those services, right? Because marketing just brings you leads. Sales is another conversation. And some of the software that you use, the way you accept payments, and ultimately the curriculum that you operate of. And I think you made good decisions all along the way, starting with facility, because you're a good example of somebody who you banged on a lot of doors. Like you came to me and you're like, I've got like 5 different places I could set up shop. And
Right.
When I think of your journey in deciding where you're going to set up shop, I think you found a lot of facilities that other people passed over and didn't. So how did you network? How did you find facilities, and how did you ultimately decide on the one that you're at right now?
Sure.
Because you also didn't, like a lot of people are, a lot of people think they need capital or something like that.
Right. I had nothing.
But you found, yeah, you had nothing. Yeah.
I had nothing. I I had found a few places. I'm just outside of DC. So there's a lot of like little pockets of horsey areas, but nothing, unless you go out further with traffic, nothing kind of in the suburbs area. And because that's where I live, it just was kind of, meeting people, seeing who had what, getting my name out there because I'm not from this area either. So I had just moved here 4 years ago at this point, 3.5, 4 years ago. So I'm really relatively new, don't know who's who, where's where. I had, just kind of through the local pages, found people who were looking for a trainer. Um, and there were a few options that I had local to me. The place where I am now, she actually owns the facilities, owns the horses. So it was a really, I don't want to say lucky, but it just has been working out really well, in the sense that I didn't have to purchase the horses. I didn't have to um, purchase the land, but we made a really good partnership out of it. Um, so I ultimately went with her. I've been there, and that's where I was teaching prior to starting this with Brian, but on a very small scale basis, once a week for a couple hours in the afternoon here or there, just to kind of like pay my horse bills that I had. But yeah, is there any other?
So
Mhm.
your process for finding facilities was that you found students who were openly looking for training in Facebook groups. Is that what you're saying? And
Yeah,
then you
Facebook
traveled to
group.
them, and that's how you met the facility owners. Is that?
For some of the places that I was considering, setting up shop kind of. I had found, just some random ads with not too much information on them, with people with empty barns or mostly empty barns, who had kids who were looking for somebody come to them to teach them. The place I'm at now, I actually found through a friend who previously taught there, and she knew that the owner wanted somebody else to come in. And I feel like just my outgoing personality, or I don't know, my drive. I'm not really a very confident person, but I think just the fact that I feel like I can get stuff done, and I feel like I've got ideas, but I just don't know how to execute them. So this, yeah, that's where I needed help.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you set up, what was interesting about the place that you set up shop is it was in a good location,
Mhm.
and it was a perfect partnership for you and her, because she didn't want to teach any lessons, but she owned a good facility in a good location and had lesson horses. For
Mhm.
me, the moral of the story is I think there are a lot of opportunities like that out there. I hear about them all the time, of people that own horse facilities but don't really want to teach the lessons. And you're the opposite. You don't own a facility, and you want to teach all the lessons. So it was a perfect opportunity. So for me, the two takeaways when I think about your success is, one, I think there's a lot more facilities out there than people give credit for, and you're not looking hard enough if you're not turning up all sorts of little opportunities here and there of where you could make something work.
Right.
Um, the other, the other, the other thing that I think, when I first met you, is your energy was really fragmented, because you taught a handful of lessons at, I think, 3 or 4 different facilities, and then you kept your horse at a fifth facility, and you had a desk job. So I was
Mhm.
like, there's no way you're going to be good at there's no way you're going to be good at, like, that just can be too much fragmentation, and like you need to pick one
Right.
thing and go all in and focus on it. So you really spent a lot of time looking at all your opportunities, and then you ultimately went all in. And I think that's when things started to move for you. And then furthermore, like getting into the services section, talk about how you priced your service, and sort of who's the target client for it. and how that worked.
Okay. So the services that I have, I price myself at 250 per month for once a week lessons. I include for everybody unmounted classes on Sunday from noon to 1. And that's kind of in the middle of one of my days teaching. It just worked out that way. I also do include like a wine Wednesday for my adults once a month, just because none of them really come to the unmounted class because it's a bunch of kids. And,
Yeah.
Just to get them feeling like their questions are answered to, or their topics that they're interested in are being met. And it's been good. It's been awesome. So for once a week, it's 250, twice a week, it's 500. And then I also have my students paying the stable owner 250 a month for horse use fee. And then if they want to ride more, like if they're riding 2 lessons, she charges it up by $100. And then, I have some students who want to do practice rides, so then they pay a little more to the barn as well. So all in for one lesson a week, it's about $500 a month for the horse and the training. Target clients, really my biggest people that I like to take in are complete beginners. I do take in adult re-riders. I do take in, kids from another stable or whatever, but the people that I'm reaching out to are people who've never ridden before, who are interested in the sport because of the location. I feel like, where they hear about horses and horseback riding is, an hour plus outside of suburbia with traffic. And the location, I think, was really important and really all the success that I have had.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, because there's definitely some people, and location could be the answer to the question. You're probably selling yourself a little short, but if we talk about, because a lot of people would be like, well, I charge a lot less than 500 a month for one lesson a week. And right now you've gotten 45 yeses. I think there are places that are charging less in the nearby vicinity that you're competing against, right? And they could go somewhere cheaper. What do you like? What is your theory on why people are happy to pay the premium rate and be with you at that?
A lot of it is convenience. And I mean, I don't want to be overly, I just feel like I've got I didn't know this before, but I feel like I'm really good at actually talking to kids. Or kind of explaining myself. Like when I first started, it wasn't, I've been traveling all over the country, learning from high level people. And so having to kind of turn that part off and kind of break things down and have fun with it rather than just be competition, competing, training. It's actually been really fun and stuff. But I think people come out to this location because it's convenience. I mean, I am 10 minutes from the town center. I'm 15 miles from Washington, D.C. We're right by all these towns where all the, everybody who's working, I don't know, for all the big tech companies are moving to. So it's just, I think it's convenience and that it's fresh on the mind seeing it as they drive by. I think 20,000 people drive by the farm every single day on the road. So I think the location is really, honestly, a huge factor of it. And people just don't want to sit in traffic around here. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think those are some, location is a common slogan for a reason. And it might have been to your advantage that you're not from this area and that you don't have capital and that you didn't invest in a place, because it did allow you to just cruise around before you even set up shop. And I love that you started working with me before you did that. So I got to be at least a part of that decision. Because I remember when you're like, well, what about here? What about here? What about here? It's like the world is
Right.
kind of your oyster. Whereas I do, and it's downhill. Like once you partnered with at the right place, it was a lot easier. Versus I do have people that are like, so I'm totally locked in to this awful location. Can you help me? You know what I mean? It's
Right.
kind of like when horse owners approach you and they're like, so I bought probably the least suitable horse that I could possibly have bought. Will you help me train it? You know what I mean? And you're
Right.
like,
Right.
yeah, I wish you would have reached out. But people, and then a lot of people are telling me that too. They're like, I don't really have a place. I want to get started, and I'll reach out to you after I get a place. And I'm like, oof, I wish you would hire me before so I could be
Yeah.
part of that decision. So I think you made a great decision. I think it was about location. I do think it is kind of an interesting opportunity to something I've been saying for a long time, is what I would consider more of an advanced rider, more of an advanced competition person like yourself, humbling yourself and working with complete beginners. Now you're a big fish in a small pond. When you're going after horse owners, a lot of times in this area too, there's Olympic level riders that you're competing against, right? So
Right.
you're going, it's like versus, why not go? There's, like you said, 20,000 people driving by every day, and you're got the great location, and you're more of an advanced trainer, compared to probably a lot of other riding school operators. So it's a combination of factors that I think sets you up. And then I love that you guys hammered that strong deal, because you guys can all do the math. Like, what's 45 times 500? It's like 22,500 a month that's coming in that she's able to split. And then you don't have to pay for a facility or lesson horses. So a lot of that is profit into your pocket. Right.
Right. Right.
So she's got I really wanted to highlight Hillary, because she's one of those people that I think has pretty decent income right now, pretty decent work-life balance. And you hear a lot of stories of riding instructors creating just miserable work lives with no profit. But this is not a bad spot to be after only like 9 months of kind of going all in.
It's crazy. 2 seconds. I thought I
Yeah,
plugged the computer in and my battery, I think I just have to
no
fix
worries.
it.
Go grab your cord. Yeah. Yeah. We don't want to lose you. Go for it. So I also don't think so. So people are out there. I'm not saying that everyone needs to charge $500 a month. I'm just saying Hillary's charging $500 a month. And I do think now, did you negotiate weeks off? And what's your makeup policy?
Okay, so at this moment, no, I have not negotiated weeks off really since I kind of implemented all this stuff in mid-September. I haven't really tweaked anything that I've done yet. I think I'm about to, probably after our little curriculum testing in June. Then I get to go to Italy for 10 days. So then I can come back and just change stuff. But so I do think that I want to implement, weeks off. Maybe I've been toying around with the, 5th week in a month is a week off. But currently what I do is my 5th week, I just kind of include it as like a makeup day. I don't really have, if you cancel your lesson, I tell them, it's not in my terms and conditions, but if you ask me and I have a space open, sure, and it's an appropriate group, sure, I'll fit you in if I can. But I don't go out of my way to ask people if they want a makeup. It's kind of on you to see if I have something open or not. people have to make up lessons within a month if they, if I cancel a lesson, you have the month to make it up. And I only provide like 1 or 2 days. It's usually like a Friday evening or a Saturday morning. And I'll do, I let them self-schedule which days and times they want to. So if, you're a adult who's riding with 4 8-year-olds, that's what it is. So, and nobody's complained about it. Nobody's had any issues with it. I honestly have like such an amazing group of people that ride with me. So I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. How has your life changed since you start making more money now? Right. Because I think your income's like tripled in the
Yeah.
last 9 months. So
Yeah.
have you bought anything differently, or you just pad your bank account? Like, how has your life changed a little bit?
I don't have to worry. I was always, worrying about buying this or buying that, do I fill my tank up? Do I not? Do I go to this, if I want to take a lesson, I take a lesson. If I want to go out to dinner, I go out to dinner. If I, want to go to this show, sure, I've got the money, I do it now. And I'm a little smarter about like, I still don't like spending money, but at least I feel like I can, I don't know, I just don't have to worry as much. It's just easier. Have I bought anything? No. Not yet.
Got it. So I think one thing I think about a lot about is that business is just a negotiation, and you're negotiating with the market, and you make a deal, right? So you made a deal with 45 people, and I think you made a pretty good deal. When I look at the deals that other people make with their businesses, they make a lot of bad deals. And I still think there's room to, basically, we constantly renegotiate. So there is the opportunity to renegotiate. And I think when we first started working together, everybody brings a little bit to this program. And one thing that you really opened my eyes to is part of generating the 500 a month was in the client's mind, they write one payment to your partner for 250 and one payment to you, because they understand, yeah, that makes sense that the person that owns these horses should make money, just get to use them, and it
Mhm.
makes sense that I should pay you as an instructor. So even if it's the same person that owns them and as the instructor, you should set it up to have two different things psychologically. And then it was really Erin Rayner who successfully negotiated 10 weeks where her riding school was closed. But that happened, I think, pretty recently. So now that's something that a lot of riding schools are going back and renegotiating and saying, yeah, we basically want paid time off for the horses and the instructor. And then
Right.
you've really got a good life if you can negotiate all that.
For
But
sure.
anybody watching this that's made bad deals, I really want to caution you against patting yourselves on the back and saying things like, well, I'm just trying to, provide an opportunity to really poor people. I'm like a charity, and I, my clients would never pay that, and this and that. Like, I don't think that's necessarily where you want to be. I think you want to take responsibility for it a little bit. Like, I didn't negotiate very strong the first time around. And I'm gonna continue negotiating a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger all the time. Because when you negotiate strong deals and you end up in a good place, like Hillary is, then you can do more. Your career is going to be longer. You're not going to burn out of this industry. You're going to be able to help more people. You're gonna have more fun doing it, and you're going to be able to do more for your own horses. Like, I think it's more ethical to negotiate a little stronger.
Mhm.
Um, and so I want to highlight people that have created good deals, because a big part of my whole mission and Megan, who's now helping me, is we want to help people like Hillary and anyone that's watching this give themselves a raise and kind of improve your work-life balance, have more time for your friends and family outside of horses. And so it really comes with driving that stronger deal. Now, the next part is, how do you sell and market this? How do you get leads of people coming in that are sort of like, leads. All leads are someone that's like, hey, I heard about this. Can you tell me more? And then sales is like, what do you actually say? So hit me with how you get leads and then walk me through how you close business.
Okay. Well, a lot of the leads that I get are from the farm owner, for, people who drive by, see the sign out, either Google it, find her website. I'm still working on my website. I'm almost there. So a lot of it is she's got a lot of information on her webpage, and they contact her and she just sends me kind of information that way, and I book people for intro lessons out of them. So they kind of already know what they're looking at. And then recently, we've also been doing the Facebook ads, and I've gotten several people to come out to the farm, and several people sign up from those as well. Really, I don't know. I think honestly, the horses often sell themselves, when the kids actually get to spend time with them and learn about the grooming. And, my intro lessons contain grooming and riding. But I think honestly, the horses, and just being like I don't know, an upbeat person who tries to say funny things, capture their attention so that they remember stuff, I think is a big part, because I've had a lot of, parents and stuff tell me like, wow, you're really good with kids. And it's, that was never something I thought I could do well at ever. But I think, I think just spending time with people and really talking to them has really been like a big thing, not really selling so much product as I'm selling, my time and the horse's time, and spending it. It's less about the, like, I don't know, like, we have a good time here. It's not competition. It's not it's not showing. It's you get to spend time with the horses, and you get to spend time with your friends. And I also saw, like, my group of kids are amazing. Like, they're so helpful and they're so welcoming, and so I'm like, these kids love each other. So I just think it's totally, I think the horses and the students sell themselves. I had one guy come in for an intro with his, like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8-year-old daughter who'd never ridden before. And he like came in, and my last lessons, they were getting the horses ready or putting them away or whatever. And he was like so impressed with, like, these girls who've only been riding with me for, a couple months, like, get their horses ready and they put them away and they know what they're doing and they know where to find stuff and they know who to ask. And he was so impressed with just the order of it all and how, well run the ship was. So I think he was just like amazed by that. And I think that was cool too. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for me, it's less like hitting on the price and that sort of thing. I tell them and then I just move on. I don't know. I don't really like get into detail about it. I just, there are people who might ask me more about it and all, but I don't really, I mean, you if you can't see the value from the intro lesson, then, either the trainer's doing something wrong or the people weren't into it anyways.
Yeah. That's such a good answer. And I think that's so important, that I think just an amazing product basically speaks for itself. And I get into a lot of the salesmanship, and I love salesmanship, and I love hearing how people position conversations and everything. But I think that is important to remember, that like most of it is just having an amazing product that speaks for itself. And I think that's what you're seeing. And I think I still think it's interesting, because I'm living here on a farm too and getting my kids into horses. And it is kind of an amazing, the big promise that we do make in a lot of those ads is that these programs make these kids better human beings in all sorts of ways. And so I think when what you're saying is like, people kind of see that, like, hey, it's not it's not just a bunch of fluff on an ad. Like these kids are kind of amazing. They're off their screens and are actually learning how to operate in this community. They're making friends. They're learning how to get good at something. And that's going to translate to like everything else in their lives. Like if you can learn how to be a part of a community, how to be a good friend, how to be a good teammate, and how to be coachable and get good at something, well, guess what? Like you can apply that to really getting good at anything.
Mhm.
And so I think if we can continue to highlight that, continue to deliver that, we're going to find more, be able to help more people kind of, and that's really what this program is about too, is like riding schools helping each other, like what you're doing right now, telling what's worked for you. Other riding schools are going to be able to implement that. But on the one hand, you might be like, well, why am I sharing what's worked for me with other riding schools? Those are my competitors. And they are to some degree. But also, the opportunity I think we have as a community of riding schools is what if we kind of raised the demand for horse sports in this country by 1%, right? We took 1% away from baseball or something. That's kind of enough people to honestly explode like every existing riding school today, like 2 or 3 times over, because the market is so big. So that's sort of the theory that I have around this program, and riding schools kind of cooperating a little bit.
Mhm.
So that's great. Now let's talk a little bit about how you accept payments and get into your curriculum.
Mm.
And then actually, wait, before we do that, we got a few questions that came in.
Okay.
Frankie wants to know, how do you deal with going to a show when it conflicts with scheduled lessons?
Okay. At the moment, I don't go to shows because I don't have a truck. But when I did, it was really, I do have a couple of substitute teachers that I've, got in my back pocket. So if I go out on vacation or I know I've got something coming up, I do reach out to them as early as I can. If it's like a show I can't miss or something I can't miss, um, you know, and I don't have a substitute, I I say, sorry, can't teach this day. And here's the makeup day, book it. It's up to them to book it. So if they don't book it, then they lose out. But at least I provide the day for them to have the lesson made up.
And then Dee wants to know, how long are your intro lessons, and do you run any offers or specials?
Okay. My intro lessons, I say they're an hour, and if they're in the middle of my day, they kind of are. I usually do run over because I talk too much. Um, but so I spend about, I don't know, I tell them if they're completely brand new riders, I show them how to tack up. We get the horse, we do a little bit of everything, and they ride for, I don't know, 20 minutes maybe, and then we put the horse away. So it's probably a little bit more than an hour total. Um, as of right now, I have not run any deals or specials. We did at the beginning of COVID. And it was like, sign up and then receive $50 off your horse fee for the first month. But since we were kind of booked completely full for what we had, we stopped doing discounts because there were people lining up on the door to pay full price. So it just didn't make sense to keep doing that. But maybe it's
Are
something
things
I'll go
slowing
back
down a little bit now?
to.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I've got 2 people who are waiting to get into the program, and then I probably have a whole wait list that I have to reach out to tomorrow and figure out what to do. I'm at the point where I'm ready to have some help.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And you've got credit cards, auto
Oh yeah.
swiping, right?
Oh yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not
Before
chasing
I was
people down and
doing
selling.
it was a lot. Before
Yeah.
I was doing Venmo, PayPal, check, cat. I mean, it was so confusing. Um, it was too much. It was over my head. I'm still cleaning up the mess from all of that.
Yeah.
Don't recommend doing multiple payments, but no, the Stripe thing. Yeah, I have just subscriptions. They auto swipe. Um, the only time I look into it really is because I have a bookkeeper, which has been amazing. I just only look into it when I find someone's card didn't go through or whatever, and I just send them an email. But yeah, Stripe was easy. I like totally got rid of PayPal because it like was charging extra fees. I'm happy to pay the $7.55 per transaction because it's like that's more peace of mind for me. I don't have to deal with it.
Right. Right. And to give some people in here to a glimpse of a little bit of that process, that's what I'm obsessed with in the new program. The new program is how do you really do that perfectly? Like, I think run a really good game from being a good solo entrepreneur to this point. You've done a lot of things right, and that's why like you get to move to the next level. But the new level is I think you can double your profit with one instructor. I think you can go from making 10 grand a month to making 20 grand a month. And I think it's funny how many failures I've studied of people building teams to run a writing school, and it's a complete mess. And, Megan can talk about this too. We've been studying a lot of failures and trying to paint what success looks like. And I do think, that's what we're basically going to push you to do, is actually create all of the standard operating procedures for this position before the person even starts. And the new hire is going to be kind of impressed. Whereas the average writing instructor hires somebody and they don't even have time to train them. So the assistant gets there and like the business owner can't even like meet with them. And then they're kind of resentful. They're like, oh, I don't even have time to like, excuse me. I don't even have time to teach you how to help me. And then that person doesn't help them. They get no benefit from them. The other person the employee kind of feels sad that they're not excelling at their job, and you watch the entire thing disintegrate. So we're going to try to set you up with success every step of the way from there.